Welcome to MarTech Heads, the radio show that helps tech marketers stay ahead of the game. Hosted by Jeff Sheehan and Sarah Torville.
What a great day it is here in Atlanta. We're at the Flip My Funnel conference here in Buckhead. And I'm telling you, Sarah Torville of Mini Frenzy and I are so pleased to have Scott Vaughan here with us today on the MarTech Heads radio show. What a real pleasure, Scott. Scott, you want to tell us a little bit about yourself, your company, what you do, some of the products, and also chime in on what your overall thoughts are with regard to Flip My Funnel and what you're going to be addressing or looking for today here at this conference.
Perfect. Well, thanks for having me. A big believer, a longtime practitioner in marketing, and grew up in old school, new school, where marketing, technology, and media. One of the interesting things about my background is I grew up in the era of the CIO, where the CIO was the rock star in the 90s. As a publisher of Information Week, I got access to watch how that function started to use technology and to automate. I think the exact same thing's happening now with the CMO in marketing. And marketing actually getting automated and becoming accountable for the business. So it's fun. My background's at the center of technology or software, marketing and media, all the things you need to be able to create demand, to create customer experiences, and do the things that marketers need to do. My role today is CMO of Integrate, so I market to marketers, which is both exciting and a challenge.
I bet, yeah.
You have to really practice what you preach. We're learning a lot as we go. We're a new frontier. It's never been more exciting time to be in marketing. We've got more tools. We've got more data, which is good news, but it's a little bit overwhelming too, so trying to sort that out. At Integrate, we're tackling something new. As everything's automated and connected, everybody's focused on inbound, driving everybody through your website. We're going to nurture them with these great tools in marketing automation. We're going to build kick-ass CRM databases, and we're going to measure everything. Well, that's fantastic, except for the little-known secret is most people, you have to go where your buyer is. So they may not be coming to your party or your website. So many companies use outbound or third-party sources to generate demand, to generate leads. And integrates a software that's automated that entire process. So we like to say we connect that whole outbound front end to the back end, marketing automation and CRM, and make it feel like inbound.
So can you just explain that a little bit more for me, for people who might be like inbound, outbound? I mean, you know, people understand inbound a little bit more, but what do you mean by outbound?
Inbound is people that that you are driving through your own website, that you're typically coming to your site, which again is fantastic. When you go outbound, you have to go where your customers or your prospects are. You have to go find and discover them. And it's more work. You have to find the sources. You have to measure what's most effective. There's a lot of manual steps in that process. And that's what we've really tried to focus on. Let's automate those manual things when you have to go use third parties, when you use lead gen providers or call centers or affiliates, things that you use to try to aggregate all of that, that's going outbound. And ultimately what we're all trying to do is set that up to be able to find and discover the right kind of prospects and then be able to feed that into your sales pipeline and give the sales team the information they need, all with a great customer experience. Sounds easy, doesn't it?
No, it's really challenging.
Stuff.
Oh, yeah.
No, it's so complex and difficult.
It's a challenging time for marketers. I think that's, everybody feels slightly overwhelmed. 2,000 MarTech platforms out there. And is this another one of those platforms or something a little bit different?
Well, it's a great question. And so two things. First of all, at Integrate, our philosophy is we work with the tools you use today. That's a number one philosophy with a name like Integrate, and it is a great name, by the way.
I like
Good
it.
URL.
Yeah.
With a name like Integrate, you have to be open. So we are fully integrated with companies like Marketo and the Oracle Marketing Cloud and Pardot and Salesforce. We bring in content systems. Data partnerships are everywhere. So you have to be open. You have to be able to API into everything. And that is a philosophy of our software. The second thing, the MarTech overwhelming thing, I think that's bullshit, personally. Every market that's worth its salt has the same chart when it starts off. When you're disrupting and you're transforming, IT started that way. Think how many sectors would have been in IT 15, 20 years ago, or when the internet started.
Correct.
You don't think there was 30 charts like that out there? Of course there is. But the people behind those charts are very smart marketers. And what you do is you create a need and you create a conversation. And I'm not saying it's not relevant, and I'm not saying it's not hard as marketers, but there are tools out there you can use or techniques you can use to take those 2,000 and get them down to a more manageable 20, 25 that you can evaluate.
So you think account-based marketing is too overwhelming if you look at it in terms of how it's been discussed today at the event?
I'm not sure overwhelming is the right word. I'm thinking just MarTech in general. So if we look at the landscape chart, it looks like it's this big sea of all these companies, which is true, but most companies don't approach it that way. They start with an understanding of how am I going to connect technology to my website, e-commerce, CRM, marketing automation, what are the data tools I need. It's not that complex if you take a more methodical approach. We use a technique at Integrate, and I used this as my last company as a CMO. I had to go from 24 databases to one, 62 different brands, very complex. And so I started this philosophy called the MarTech Blueprint, which was so simple. Basically, map out your current processes that you're using in marketing, map the data flow, and literally lay out in a diagram the different technologies.
For each one of those points.
For each one. And then you can decide, do I need to consolidate the technology? Where are my gaps? Where should I prioritize? So you have this nice little simple diagram that you can take to your executive board, you can take to your vendors, and you certainly can take it to your team internally, so you have a blueprint that everybody can use and say, this is going to be our path.
Yeah.
And then the next technology I need is X. You bring those vendors in. It just takes a methodical approach versus trying to shotgun and throw everything together. And the interesting part about that is people started showing off their MarTech stack like it was a Ferrari at the Course d'Elegance, right? This,
Right.
look at my stack,
Yeah.
how great it is. And we may have lost sight to the importance of what the technologies, tools are just enablers, what they're trying to
So
do.
you don't go chasing the next shiny object out there. You have a very methodical approach to what you do. You vet the platforms that are out there that are being introduced and what have you, and see if they can form an integral part of your overall process, correct?
Yeah, I think that's very accurate. And I know marketers never do this, but just for example, they call themselves platforms where they're really tools. And I think tools are okay. Tools are important because, as I stated earlier, I think what I've learned is tools have to integrate with your process, your data, and what you're using today. And you can't have a bunch of platforms. You can't be signing into 6 different systems.
No.
And we will get there. There's no question. And you know, there's this great promise by the big dogs, you know, not to pick on names, but Oracle, IBM, Adobe, SAP, we know them, that have promised that the marketing cloud is there. They will get there.
Yeah, I'm sure.
But it's going to take them time. They're acquiring companies. They're assembling their solution into more of a cloud service base where we can go plug into a cloud and get the marketing stuff we need. At this phase of the market, of where we are in marketing, you kind of have to build your own stack. There might be some services that you can use that are configurable, which is great. But we're on the right path, but we're in the infancy of marketing technology.
So what do you do as a marketer in that with regard to, you have a number of different tools that you're using. Do you have specialists in each one of those tools, or how do you manage that?
Boy, that is the right question, Jeff. I mean, you're dead on, because that is the challenge, because as fast as the tools and the processes move, you have to be able to find, train, and equip that talent. And so you always feel like you're 1 or 2 steps behind that. And what I've learned and try to apply is don't overemphasize on tool specialty. In some cases you have to. If it's your backbone, you want someone who knows Oracle, Eloqua, or Salesforce. You have to have that. But more or less what you want is the ability to really hone in and focus on the discipline. And that has changed a lot. And the discipline has to be technology, savviness. You don't have to be a technician, but you have to be aware. You have to know how to use data. And so the skill set's changed a lot.
So what are you seeing as the CMO of Integrate? Are you seeing, I mean, do you practice what you preach in terms of the integration, using all these, the right technologies for your own outbound and inbound efforts.
Yeah.
You do. Can you give me some examples of that?
Sure. I'm excited. We launched integrate.com, got revamped. That launched yesterday. That was a labor of love of customer journey, of very educational content. We tied that through our inbound process, through our own marketing automation and through our own CRM, Salesforce in this case. We have closed loop analytics on it. We use Integrate, so we use our outbound demand gen technology. So we have outbound and inbound, again, where you go out to third parties to drive, plus we have inbound, and we bring that data together. And we feel really good that we're contributing and locking arms with our sales partners to be able to do that. It is not perfect, but we're taking things methodically and things we can measure and getting to common service level agreements and et cetera. We're a little bit lucky in that it usually starts with the leadership. As a CMO, I've also been in sales and learned a few tricks along the way to how important it is. But sales, marketing, I don't believe in sales and marketing alignment at all. I believe if you organize around the customer, on the prospect, and you have those well-defined, that you can actually do a lot better. You can't have sales and marketing and alignment and all those words. You sit in meetings and you don't get anything done.
That's the first time I've heard that.
Yeah,
I mean, we hear the opposite all the time, and I love it. I love to hear a different point of view. Maybe you should expand on that more for me.
Sure. Well, the difference is if you're in marketing, you go and you listen to sales. And that is great. That's important. But if you really take cues from the customer, and I'm not saying do what the customer says, because sometimes the customer's thinking in the now, and you have to be, marketing needs to be 6, 12, 18 months out, right? That's the way I think as a CMO. That's my job.
Right.
My colleague, the VP of sales, and we're very close, he's thinking week, month, quarter to hit the number. And when you sit down, if you're in alignment, how can you be in alignment if your view's here and their view's here? But rather you have to be more integrated and come to some common definitions, some common metrics that we'll measure it by that are going to get you to the outcome. And that's just a different approach.
So do you see it evolving into a point where sales and marketing are going to be reporting to a customer experience officer?
I'm not sure how dramatic that is. Titles and reporting, it gets a little goofy. So we could go, we could theorize. But, I mean, at the bottom line is, I think more and more, I consider myself more of a chief customer officer and not in the, customer advocate and all that. That has to be baked in. And we have an example of that. So my experience when I was in my last gig, I brought in Oracle Eloqua, really great solution. We spent a year scoping it. It was a big deal. We're a big global company, several thousand employees, complicated. So we get to the onboard time when we're ready to rock and roll, and here comes the customer success manager. All that year of work they were never involved in.
Oh my gosh.
So what we do at Integrate is we put our customer success managers at that very early discovery phase. So they're hearing from the clients the nuances of their application.
Definitely.
So when they go into and we architect the solution, I mean, that's a little dramatic, architect, lay out what they need to do.
Correct. Blueprint.
Yes, the
Yes.
blueprint. The customer success person then is very in tune. So when they go to onboard, it's, all right, we're going to do this, make it happen. And that's something I learned that we changed at Integrate, because the handoffs and transitions to someone that does a cookie cutter after you've spent this time investing and you're going to make it. Integrate's a little bit different. It's not the complication and configuration and integration of a major platform. There are tools that work around with what you do, but it's the same mentality.
So tell me, what are the MarTech tools that you could just not live without at Integrate?
Well, I think marketing automation is critical. We've got to get out of batch and blast. We've got to be able to understand and how to personalize and personalize that experience. I think that's a big deal. And people oversell it over, the industry 5 years ago told us that we're all going to be revenue machines and fired us up and sold us software, and we thought it was going to change the world, and then we realized, hey, it's just a tool.
How much of it has accumulated dust?
It's used, but I'm not sure it's used to its full advantage or that it's used in all the right ways. Marketers were great at marketing what they were doing, and it was a revolution. I think there's a lot better use of it, But it's nothing if the front end's not tied to the back end. It's nothing if there's not a layer of customer experience that's layered into what you're doing. And I think that's what's changed so much. So marketing automation, I think, as a general term, I meant the tools inside there are important. And the things that I'm getting really excited about is all the analytics. And we have a philosophy of let the data be your guide, both for our software platform. We're just software. Here's the data, make good decisions and make investment. And there's times where you have to really let that data decide. So analytics are big drivers, but they're not the only thing. And that's where being connected to the customer, where marketing is thinking 12 and 18 months out, because a customer cannot articulate what the world's going to look like. They may have a pain now, which is great, but you're trying to build products and solutions and take them down a path. So you need to be looking out further as a marketer.
So are you looking, for instance, the people, the marketing personnel that you're hiring, and that strong analytics background now?
Yeah.
Right.
So there's a couple things you look for. The creative and the big idea can't go away. You still need very, very strong.
Yeah.
You lose that, you lose differentiation. But three things have to come with today's marketer, and they have to be kind of just built into the thinking and DNA, which is you have to be a customer understanding. If you don't use that as your basis when you come in, we have personas, we have profiles, we have customer stories. All new employees, not just marketing and sales, go through that process before they can start. Here are the people, here's what they look like, here's what they think about, here's common words they use. The second thing is you have to be comfortable using data. Data's not the only thing, but it's a very strong compass. And if you can't articulate what's working, what's not, what the data's telling you, you can't get that compass you need. You still need that instinct. You still need to be able to look out, but that's important. And
So the onboarding, you're saying for every person you onboard, irrelevant whether does this go beyond the marketing team? But you're
every
saying
employee.
that everybody has to understand the personas of the buyer.
Correct.
That's great. I love that. I've not heard that before, and
No.
of course you should. I mean,
Yeah.
that's who you're selling to.
Hey,
that's why you're in business.
We have
So-
demand gen Gina. We
Yeah.
have marketing ops Mike.
Okay.
We have media executive Mary.
Yeah.
So we have
I
our
like that.
personas,
Yeah.
like a lot of companies do, but we bring them to life
Yeah.
through real names, real people,
Yeah.
and we use their words. We used to say data governance, for example, as part
Yeah.
of our software.
So
Today we
think
say
about how you're
eliminate
gonna
crappy
speak.
leads,
Right.
right? That's
Well,
the
it changes
customer
Simplify
voice.
it.
how you
Keep it
talk to
simple.
those people. The
Very
tonality
much so.
changes, and that's very important. You have to resonate with them.
Yes.
Yeah.
And just to finish the point, the
Yeah.
third thing that we look for when we hire marketers is you have to be comfortable with technology, whether it's HTML, whether it's your analytics tools, whether it's your marketing automation. It doesn't mean you have to be a technologist and you have to be technical. There's room for that. But you really have to be technology aware and comfortable.
So tell me, what do you see? Maybe you've answered this a little bit around data analytics, but what do you see as being the big MarTech disruptors happening? Do you have a feeling of what you think is coming next?
Yeah, I do. And I think I have a saying that actually our CEO, Jeremy Bloom, says it a lot, and I really believe it. Predictive is the new social. So social
Right.
media was all the buzz and rage, and we all knew we needed it, but we weren't sure what we needed it for. But we knew it was going to be good, so we took our vitamins as social. Predictive analytics is the same idea. We're in the very, very early phases.
So that's the next wave.
I think it is. I think it's enough to be able to get analytics that tell you what happened.
Yeah.
We're just and that we can
I agree.
prove our ROI. But the promise is to begin to put in data that gives us better predictive of what
What's
could
gonna
happen
happen.
and how do you model that. Again, very early, but I definitely think that is an area that we can. It'll take 3, 5, 7 years, but we'll get good at
So
it.
fortune telling, do you think?
Oh, yeah.
Do you think
Yeah,
we may?
I think the
hey,
analogy's right on.
if we
No,
could start to
you're
do
right about that,
Maybe we
fortune
can
Sarah.
start a
telling.
business.
Yeah.
That's
That
his
could
new.
be the
That
name
could
of our
That'll be his new
business.
title,
fortunetelling.com.
right?
Let's go own that.
New
Let's
title,
claim
right?
that domain.
Okay.
So
Hey, sometimes it is fortune telling in this.
I
Yeah,
can tell
I
you,
mean,
Scott, it's been
yeah.
a real pleasure
Yeah.
for Sarah and I to interview here today at Flip My Funnel. Wish you continued success.
Thank you.
Yeah.
With the new website and integrated, and really been a pleasure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And look forward to seeing you later today when you
Yeah,
moderate
we're gonna have
the
some
panel.
fun on our panel.
Yeah,
We've got
absolutely.
cocktails involved. We're
Yes,
the-
Oh my
what
gosh.
is the
Let's make sure I
title of
clear
your
my
panel?
calendar.
it's Cut the BS.
Yes,
It's
it
about
should be very
account-based marketing.
Should be very interesting.
I've-
gonna
we've-
be great.
We've got a panel of characters.
Yes.
I'll leave it at that. All with big opinions.
Yes, what a
Very
great
good.
show he's organized here, though.
Yeah.
Seriously, this
Yeah,
flipped
this-
my funnel, and can't wait to go out and see what's going on.
Yeah.
The team's. This is full of personality, isn't it?
Oh, it is. You
Yeah.
can feel it. The atmosphere. It's it feels electric.
Not
I'm
your
loving
traditional
it.
conference you
No.
come in and go to a hotel at. This is
That's
very
because we're
different.
all marketeers. I mean, come on, that's what we're good at. So,
That's it.
Yeah.
I knew there was some secret formula there.
So,
Well, thank you again.
Yeah.
You're welcome,
thank
guys.
you.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Thanks for having me.